this video contains some bad language, but nothing that you haven't heard before. But one story I did forget to mention on this video is there was an American guy sitting in an American car in an American car park outside an American supermarket, and he said that he was a trained psychiatrist, a trained nurse, everything else. He was advisor to the Pope and the presidents, and he knew everything. He said, and he mentioned a guy called Gio, who I believe has got a blog in the Philippines. He said that he knew that the relationship with Gio and his young lady would not last. And you know why? Because he says, do not get involved with a woman with tattoos. Now, if you have a girlfriend or you're in a long-term relationship, ask that person to show you her tattoos. And if she has a little rose on the left cheek of her ass, I know her. Not really. But if she has any tattoos, he advises, don't get involved with them, don't marry them. Because they're not feminine, they're more masculine. So what happens if you've already married a girl and she wants to have a tattoo? Do you file for a divorce? This guy knows everything about everything. Do not get involved with anyone that's got a tattoo, unless it's in a nice place. Watch the video. I forgot this bit. Nothing unusual. It's me. Have you ever wondered what a shit life this is? And I'm not talking about living in the Philippines, because I quite like living in the Philippines. But I've been watching YouTube and I've been watching Karens. These people, these women and sometimes men that lose their tempers in airports and restaurants and fast food places. It's unbelievable. And the majority of them seem to be American. Or probably that's because the video is based in America. That's probably the reason why. But I should assume that there's Karens all over the place. One woman in particular, she went into a fast food, complained that there wasn't enough tomato ketchup on her burger, so they put more on it, and then she threw it on the counter saying it was too much. It's a very scary place, I think, America. Especially these videos that show people knocking on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning or trying to rob your car or bike or whatever. I'm not saying it doesn't go on in England, it does. But I don't think it goes on to the extent that it does in America. Anyway, there was another thing that I read, and I had to laugh. I mean, it was in England actually, it was in a cafe. And the guy went into a coffee cafe and he asked for a black cappuccino. And lo and behold, the man behind the counter said, "You can't use black now in case people think it's racist." And the man said, "Well, what do I say then?" And the assistant said, "You've got to ask for a cappuccino with no milk, and then we know it's black." Well, the man said, basically, "Fuck you, I'm in England, and it's quicker to say black cappuccino." But isn't it amazing how these things are happening these days? I remember when I was a kid, Robinson's Jam used to have gollywogs. Yes, gollywogs. They were little paper images of a gollywog playing the trumpet, the trombone, blah, blah, blah. And as a kid, we used to collect them. And then when you got enough, you used to send them off to get a metal gollywog pin to put on your satchel or whatever. Not once did we ever as a kid, think that gollywog represented a black person. Not once. And not only that, but other things as well. It's just, everything's just changing for religion and racism. It's just unbelievable. There was another one about Bar Bar Black Sheep, the nursery rhyme. Apparently the other day someone said they didn't change the words because it was Bar Bar Black Sheep. It was because it was a little boy that lived down the lane, and it should be man, so they are gender wise or something like that. What a load of bollocks. I remember when I was a teenager in the 60s, we was playing football, and all of a sudden we stopped playing because there was a black guy walking up the road, and we've never seen a black man before. But we didn't do anything. We just looked and carried on playing football afterwards. There wasn't this racist shit that you lot have got now. It's unbelievable. Especially the videos I watch in America, from America. Racism is so bad over there, and, you know, whites act black and they use the black card, or the white calls them something, the N-word and everything else. It's unbelievable what today has become. It just wasn't like that years and years ago. We didn't have this racist thing. We all went to school together. We all got on well together. Okay, I was brought up in South East London, which was predominantly around Catford and Lewisham. There was a lot of black people. But in the early days in the 60s, you know, all right, there was a few skirmishes. I'm not going to deny that. But everyone got on okay with each other. As a teenager, we had ska music, we had reggae music, Tamla Motown. It was all predominantly black. But we didn't go around calling people names or anything. But anyway, this is just a general rant about some of the things that I've actually seen on YouTube, especially a lot from Dumagetti. Some of these fucking expats, they really think they're the bee's knees and they know everything that's going on in Dumagetti. There's one guy in particular, he's sending his young wife to America because he wants her to become independent and know what it's like to travel alone. And, I mean, would you send your young wife to America? I fucking wouldn't. Mind you, I wouldn't even send her to UK either. But the thing is, this guy's supposed to have been wealthy years ago. She complained that when they both went to America, it was too expensive, so she's going on her own now. But he's doing it as a test. Fucking hell, I'll be surprised if she ever comes back. But it's just unbelievable. I had quite a few things to say, but I've totally forgotten now. But anyway, going on to, people keep criticising the Philippines, criticising the girls, criticising this. But look at the poor guy that died, the American guy that died. That is a fine example. Okay, I wasn't a great lover of his channel, but obviously I was very sorry to hear the bad news. But again, he had a big age gap with his girlfriend, which I'm not really bothered about. But he had a child that wasn't even a year old as well. And now that child is homeless. Well, not homeless, fatherless. And I don't think there's many Filipinos that would marry a Filipina with a child. Maybe another foreigner will marry her. That's a possibility. But there's a few guys on YouTube now that are big age gaps, but they're having children. Why the fucking hell do you want a child when you're 70 odd? That's the last thing I want, waking me up in the middle of the night. A freaking kid screaming. Get down to reality. What is it you're trying to prove, that you can still get a hard-on at 70 and have a baby? God's sake, think of the freaking child, for God, for once. Not about yourself. And it's true what they say. People think more with what's in between their legs than their brain. Anyway, going back to the racism, I'm just appalled at some of the things that are happening in the world today. It's just unbelievable. I'm an ex-veteran, but I don't keep on about it like some of you people. I served 20 odd years in the army, and there was a survey a few weeks ago for the young people in UK. Would they go to war? Would they join the army? Would they fight in a campaign? And the majority of them refused. They said they would not fight. Can you imagine being in the trenches, like in the First and Second World War, in the trenches, and they're holding their mobile phone up saying, "There's no connection here, there's no connection." And there's bullets and shit flying all over the place, and they were, "Oh, sorry, Sergeant, there's no connection here, I can't get on Wi-Fi." Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the young kids of today being in a war? They call them snowflakes and everything else, and they are. My generation and the generation before, we were prepared to fight for our country, but not no more. It's just, I don't know what's the matter with these teenagers today, but I think it's the technology that has really ruined them. And going back to racism, when I was a kid, we had two programs on TV. One was Love Thy Neighbour, where you had a black guy, black family, living next door to a white family. The wives and that got on, but the men obviously were at each other's throats. The black guy used to call him, the white guy, snowflake, and the white guy used to call the black guy nignog and everything. But it was all humour. It was fun. It was like the English and the Scottish banter of today. When you get English and Scottish people together, they're always trying to knock each other down with banter, but it's not hurtful banter, if you know what I mean. And the black guy, there was one program in particular where the white guy shoe polished his face and the black guy took him out to a pub to show him what the racism can be towards the black people. Anyway, it ended up they went to a pub and this white guy that was coloured black wanted this and that, and the barman said, "Sorry, I can't serve you." And he said, "Well, is it because I'm black?" He said, "No, it's because I'm closed." And it was just fun. It was just normal, everyday banter. And the other program, which caused a lot of controversy, was Until Death Us Do Part. And it was based on an old character called Alf Garnett, who was a West Ham supporter in London. And he ripped into everybody, not just black people. He ripped into foreigners, illegal immigrants, social security. And there was one particular clip where his TV wasn't working. So he called the TV technician. And he's sitting in his living room and he's giving all this mouth to his brother-in-law about
son-in-law,
the
actually,
rights and wrongs of immigration and everything. And in walks the TV technician and he's black. And Alf Garnett shuts up straight away and, basically the black guy went to the back of the telly, touched something, and the picture came on, and he stood up and said, "That's black magic." And of course, it was laughter, it was fun. It wasn't as hurtful as it is today. It's unbelievable today. And even in London, there was a case a few days ago where a 14-year-old got stabbed on a bus. That was unheard of years ago. And there was one particular case, I always remember this case. Years ago, old people used to chat to kids in the park, and everyone was friendly and everything. About a year ago or 2 years ago, this guy was driving a van in London, and he saw this little girl. She must have been about 2 or 3, walking along the pavement or sidewalk. And he thought to himself, that little girl shouldn't be out on her own, she's too young. But at the back of his mind, he also said that if he stopped and put her in the van, before you know it, the police are on to him for kidnapping the kid, because someone will see him and phone up, and with all this paedophile and abusing kids and everything nowadays, people are too scared to do anything. Anyway, the sad bit about this story is a few hours later, when he got home and put the news on, they found this little girl drowned in a garden pond. And obviously the guy was heartbroken because he knew that he could have saved that little girl. But the way the situation is now in England, or the rest of the world, I don't know, but in England, you cannot even touch or look at a child, even if it's just innocent. Even if you want to, sitting in the park, you want to talk to a kid sitting on the bench with you, you can't do it, because someone will say that you're trying to abuse him, kidnap him, spread rumours that you're a paedophile, and before long your house is burnt down and you're beat up and everything, only to find out that it's not true. And that is the way the world is at the moment. It is absolutely fucking shite. There is so much poverty in the world. There is so many wars going on in the world, and I would not be surprised if there is a third world war, because I think that is what it's coming to. And I dread to think the outcome, because all these snowflakes in England wouldn't join the army. They're all desert with their mobile phones and their laptops and saying, in fact, the British government will probably form a brand new regiment of laptop users or something, the Royal Laptop Regiment, something like that. I don't know. It's just sad. Sad. But anyway, going back to Until Death Us Do Part. It criticised Indians, it criticised everything, and there was another one, Curry and Chips, I think, with Spike Milligan, where he blackened his face and tried to impersonate an Indian person. Some time ago, a few years ago, I think it was a year ago, I blackened my face to take off one of the YouTubers. God, the abuse that I got. Some said it was funny, some came off my subscribers, they said I'm racist. There was not one bit of racist language in that video, but because I blackened my face to impersonate a YouTuber, I got shit for it. And in the end, I got fed up that I took the video off. And some people said, you shouldn't have took it off because it was humorous. But some people can't take that these days. Black people, I don't know what it is these days, but some black people have got this thing that everyone is against them, and it's sad that people think like that. And it's also sad that where I used to live in London, it's not so much black people now, it's people from Europe, Ukrainians, Kosovars, and they're all coming to London, and they're all building their little empires for drugs and everything else. It's just sad. It's a sad world, and it should never have got into this state. But the governments, what can we do about it? We can do naffle about the governments. Unfortunately, England, I don't know what it's like in America, but in England, the government tends to think and look after immigrants more than what British people. And there was a case in the paper the other day where British people are left to wait on the national health system for months and months and months. But if you're an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, you come in, you get a home, you get food, you get a laptop, you get everything, you get seen by the hospitals and everything else. And that is really what is pissing people off now, especially in England. The 100% English person is no longer the majority in England. There are so many, I wouldn't say foreigners, because some foreigners contribute very well to in England. But England has been known for its open arms and let everybody in. You get a 16-year-old kid, a girl that ends up pregnant, all she's got to do is go to the DHSS and say, I'm pregnant. Oh, sit down, dear. We'll give you a pram, we'll give you a flat, we'll give you nappies or diapers to look after the kid, and we'll give you money so you can feed the kid. That's what it's like in England. But, like I said, the older generation that fought for the country are being let down by the government because illegal immigrants are taking the toll. And I wouldn't mind if it was women and children coming in on these boats. But it's not. It's all young men. They're either come over here to meet up with their brothers, or they want to get themselves settled in England before they bring their families over. But there's not very many women and children that sacrifice their lives crossing the English Channel for a better life. It's all young men. And that needs to be questioned as well. Anyway, I've had my rant. Yeah, I was just sitting here on the laptop, sitting here with my cat that's sleeping. My partner is in the Sari store working. So I thought, bollocks, I'll have a rant about something. And it's probably a load of bollocks anyway, but anyway, I've done it now. So, if you like it, subscribe, like, pass it on to someone, whatever you want to do with it. You can delete it, you can just burn your TV if you want. Anyway, Happy New Year to all those that I've not mentioned before. 2025, let's hope it's a good year. The Philippines is getting on well. Oh, they found that American guy, apparently, that got kidnapped in Mindanao. He was found in the water. Apparently he was shot before they got in the boat, and they probably realised he was dead, so they chucked him overboard. There's still a few kidnappings going on in the Philippines, but if you keep your nose clean, you shouldn't have any problems. All these people that go to the bars and open their mouths and try and chat up all the girls, and there's one guy in Cebu who's over 70, he's got 10 girlfriends. Who the fucking hell wants 10 girlfriends? One is enough. Anyway, keep yourself to yourself if you come over. If you come over, do what you want to do. Listen to other people, but you don't have to take their advice. A lot of these people are just fucking hypocrites. They talk shite. Anyway, all the best. And if you're coming to the Philippines, keep your head down, keep yourself to yourself, and you have no problems. Take care. Bye-bye.